What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new episode on my channel. But before we get into the topic, I would love it if you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell icon, so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. And then when you are finished, leave me a comment below and I'll get back to whatever it is that you had to say on the topic for today. So for today's topic, we really need to have a conversation, y'all. We really need to talk about what in the hell is going on with WWE, because it's a lot happening. You know, you got them scalping black culture and taking from our culture and then not giving back to the black people who are in it. And then you got y'all's boy Triple H talking about how he doesn't see color. So let's get into it. This past Saturday, Bad Blood came on and I decided to watch it. Now, for those of you all who do not know, I am a big time wrestling fan. I've been kind of on and off. Some years I've watched it thoroughly. Some years I kind of was glancing at it. Some years I wasn't watching it at all. But ultimately I would call myself a fan because I have dug really deep into wrestling at different points in time, and I've been looking at it on and off since I was a kid. So it's definitely been something that I've enjoyed since my childhood. But when it comes to WWE, I've noticed over the years that it went from being blatantly racist to being covert racist. And it's clear that all of that is still going on, and we need to really flush all of that out and talk about all of it. One of the big things that I think that they're doing, and they're doing it far too much, is they're trying so hard to scout black culture, and then they're not doing shit for their black wrestlers. So let me explain. If you look at this past Bad Blood show, they had a ton of rap artists who were just watching this. I mean, think about it. They had Killer Mike, they had Quavo, they had all these other people who were sitting there watching this promotion. And then on top of that too, the icing on the cake for me was when they had the marching band. They had this black marching band that was from the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, that was doing a performance for Cody Rhodes' theme song. Now, let me tell y'all, this was some lame shit. This was some of the lamest shit ever. And to be honest with you, for those of you all who are WWE fans, I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss some of y'all off. It's going to probably be something that some of y'all resonate with. But I'm really fucking getting tired of Cody Rhodes, y'all. I'm really, really getting tired of him. I don't dislike him as a wrestler. I think he's cool. He has a cool special move I can kind of get jiggy with, you know, a lot of the stuff that he does. But ultimately, I gotta be honest when I say that I am really getting sick of this dude, and I really think that they're kind of overdoing it with his character. He needs to just drop the belt, and they're trying to make him relevant. They're trying to keep him cool. And one of the ways that they've really been trying their hardest to try to keep him cool is by trying to attach him to either black wrestlers or trying to attach black music around his themes, or trying to make little memes about how he's Cody Raheem Rhodes and how he's this civil, they're trying to play like he was a civil rights activist and all this other stuff. They try to make these little jokes. So they're trying to keep him cool by attaching him to things related to black people. And I think they're doing some of this because of the fact that he has a black wife, that being Brandy Rhodes, who is from Michigan, like myself actually. But I think at the same time, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make him cool in the eyes of black people. And it's clear that they hold our music and our culture, specifically pop culture, in high esteem because of how much they're trying to attach that to his character. I mean, I literally cringed at the NXT episode where they had Trick Williams asking Cody Rhodes if he was coming to the cookout, and Cody saying that he was coming to the cookout. That was some cringy ass shit. And that's what I'm talking about when I say that they are trying their hardest to try to make him cool, but they're doing it at the expense of black people and black culture. And they're making us look like damn fools in the process just to keep him relevant when we know he's drying the hell out. As a matter of fact, that whole bloodline storyline, let's be real, he was more so somebody who benefited from not even being the most important part of it, or being an important part of it at all. I mean, the most interesting things about this feud literally were Roman Reigns, the whole bloodline story and everything that was going on with that. The Rock was interesting and funny as usual. And then even Seth Rollins, in my opinion, was more interesting because he was the key reason why Roman Reigns was mad. Cody was just there saying, I gotta finish my story. Yeah, I gotta finish my story. But I mean, like, dude, like... Nobody gives a damn about all that when you have all this other stuff that's going on in the background. So they really were trying to keep Cody relevant. Now, some fans obviously really liked him, and, you know, fans, they get into this phase where they find somebody who they like and then they keep running with it and whatnot, and then that becomes a thing. But it was clear that they were trying their hardest to not upset fans, you know, with, you know, Cody not winning the previous WrestleMania and him now being attached to this new WrestleMania. So it was clear that they, again, were trying to make him cool, and I really just wasn't with it. I'm especially not really, I'm starting to get tired of this Major Glory shit that they're doing with him, where he comes out and he's dressed like damn Major Glory from Dexter's Laboratory. Like, I just really don't understand it. His theme song is kind of cool, like I said, but ultimately he is drying out. And I think WWE has this habit of finding these white superstars who they feel can maybe have a little bit of an Eminem vibe, and they try to attach black things around them, because they did the same thing with John Cena, and all of a sudden he became really cool as well too. So they like to kind of take our culture, specifically our music, and then the artists who are in that culture, and they like to kind of have them hanging around with him. And that's why even with Cody, they had him talking about how he was going to be doing something with Metro Boomin. So they like to do little shit like that, where they take from our culture, but they don't do shit for the wrestlers. Because let's be real, if they really wanted to do something with that, with like some of the music that, you know, was in our culture or whatnot, they could have put it behind a lot of black superstars, because we could have seen it behind, you know, a Montez Ford, who, let's be real, is probably the most talented male wrestler on the current roster, and they don't do shit with him. And let's be real, we all know that they are undermining Montez Ford because of the fact that they want to try to mess with the relationship between him and Bianca Belair by elevating her and not really doing shit with him to make it seem like maybe he's lazy or not good enough, which is just total bullshit. He's better than basically everybody on that roster. I don't see y'all trying to have him hook up with black artists and then you kind of putting him in the main title picture. You're not doing anything like that. So now let's talk about this whole band situation. That was really the icing on the cake for me when I was watching Bad Blood. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, they are trying way too damn hard. There was literally no reason for them to have an HBCU band. By the way, they sucked and they were offbeat. An HBCU band who was playing for Cody Rhodes' theme song. It's not like we're watching WrestleMania. Hell, we're not even watching Royal Rumble or SummerSlam or even Money in the Damn Bank. We're watching damn Bad Blood, and here y'all are trying to get an HBCU to put on a musical performance for Cody Rhodes. And I know some of y'all are watching this, especially if you're white, and I know that you don't know no better, so I need you to just shut the hell up and don't make any comments, because I already know that you're ignorant and you have no clue about what I'm about to talk about. But so I remember in the promo that they did with him and Roman Reigns, there was a part where he was talking about how Atlanta was his stomping grounds. In so many words, that was kind of the thing that Cody said. Now, this is the thing. Me, personally, I was born in Detroit, and I was raised in Oak Park, Michigan. There is not a moment growing up that I could go around and say that I'm from Detroit and somebody didn't come back and say, yo, you not from Detroit, you from Oak Park, despite the fact that I was born in Detroit. So literally, if you did not grow up in the city of Detroit, you could not go and claim that you were from Detroit. And I know for a fact that it was the same way when it came to Atlanta. So for him to say Atlanta was his stomping grounds is like him saying that Atlanta was his home and Atlanta was his city. But let's really go into that. Cody Rhodes was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Cody Rhodes went to school in Marietta, Georgia. And that's where he grew up, was Marietta, Georgia, which is why he has been billed in certain wrestling matches as being from either Charlotte, North Carolina or Marietta, Georgia. Marietta, Georgia is not Atlanta. Stone Mountain is not Atlanta. McDonough is not Atlanta. Gainesville is not Atlanta. No matter what suburb or area that's far off from Atlanta that you try to claim as Atlanta, it's not Atlanta. So it's always funny to me how in our culture, black culture, we get browbeat for saying that we are from a suburb or saying we're from a city when we're really like we lived or grew up in a suburb. But some white boy can go and say that Atlanta was their stomping ground, and all of a sudden everybody, they're eating it up and they're making a big spectacle out of it. It is the most ridiculous thing. So I was already irritated by that because I said, ain't that about a bitch? Here they are trying to still make Cody cool by attaching him to something black, whether it's the music, whether it's the culture, whether it's an HBCU, whatever the case may be. And we know damn well Cody didn't go to no damn HBCU. Let's be real. So that was unnecessary. Now, if they would have done it for like maybe like somebody like a Bianca or something like that, I could have got jiggy with it because they've done stuff like that with her before. And again, it was cool. And Bianca also is, in my opinion, in my very, very probably true opinion, the best female wrestler on the current roster. So it especially would have been good for them to have done that for someone like her. But doing this for Cody Rhodes was too damn much. It was too much going on with that band and Cody. And again, they were very much offbeat. They couldn't get their stuff together. And the chicks that was in there in the band, they was wobbling and shaking more than damn Jello. They were doing that better than they were playing the damn instruments. I was like, ain't this something? Like, y'all couldn't even get the damn song right. Anyway, so my point is that they were just doing way too much. And they were doing all of this because, again, they were stealing from black culture by taking our music and attaching to somebody who is non-black to make them seem cool. WWE has a bad habit of this. WWE loves to take from our culture and try to make themselves seem cool, or they may take catchphrases sometimes as well too, because I've seen them say stuff like, oh, this hits different and things like that. And I'm like, okay, nah, I just don't even want to say hits different no more. So they like to take little pop cultural phrases and things that have really come from us, like the little slang that we use, the kind of catchy phrases we use and memes we use, and they like to attach it to their product to make it seem cool. And then I swear to God, after WWE does stuff like that, immediately I lose interest in that thing because they literally just drain the life out of that thing that they take from us. And I can't stand it because then y'all will turn y'all's asses around and won't do shit for really almost any of the black wrestlers on the roster. Or if you do something for them, it's maybe a one-time deal and you don't give them a good championship bout or anything like that. That's why you don't have a lot of black multi-champions. Look at how they treat Kofi Kingston. Look at how they were treating Big E before he got injured. Look at how they treated Xavier. Look at how they treated Bobby Lashley before he was out the door. And Bobby Lashley is a super veteran. And they're not giving him the accolades that they gave Brock Lesnar, although he might as well be in that kind of level of Brock Lesnar. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, it was his promos and all that stuff. Brock wasn't like a master promo maker either. Brock had Paul Heyman. He had a hype guy behind him who was making him look like a behemoth, so he really didn't have to say too much. But, you know, obviously there were times where Brock did things and they were funny, right? Like when he had Money in the Bank, like he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he came out when Kofi and Seth were talking, and he was treating it like a boombox. That shit was funny as hell. I ain't gonna lie. But for the most part, Brock is not really a promo guy like that. And even when Brock screams and yells, it doesn't sound menacing. You're like, what the fuck? That sound came out of that big ass man? Like what? But anyway, my point is that Bobby and Brock to me are kind of parallels of each other, except one's black and one is white. They're both big guys. They both have big monstrous moves. They're around the same size. And really, they are marquee wrestlers who come from different types of backgrounds outside of WWE. But look how they elevated Brock versus how they elevated Bobby. My point is, look at the way that black wrestlers are treated altogether. Matter of fact, the only wrestler that people can even point to as far as getting some type of great treatment is The Rock. And the thing about The Rock is that although he is black, he leans way more into his Samoan side. So it's almost to the point where a lot of people forget he's black because of how much he links with the whole Samoan gimmick and everything with that. So going back, when it comes to black wrestlers, they are not treated well, but they take our culture in all types of places and put it into the product to keep it interesting and to keep it lively. And they do it most frequently with us. Hell, they even had a damn performance at WrestleMania where they had Lil Wayne coming out and kicking it with Jey Uso. So they love to do little shit like that. Now, let me say this. I'm not trying to dump on any artists who are getting their paper because they're performing or they're showing up, if that's the case in some of these cases, right? Or if they, get in the ring and they do a little mock match with one of the wrestlers and stuff like that. I'm not hating on that. But what I'm saying is that WWE is clearly exploiting our culture by not doing anything for us while they are wrestlers, but then taking our music and all this other stuff to make their product look good. Now I want to talk about y'all's boy, Triple H / Paul Levesque, or Paul Levesque, however the fuck you say his last name. So y'all's boy was in an interview recently and he was asked about black representation in wrestling, and he made the comment saying that he sees no color. So here's my take on that. This right here is proof to everyone that there is still the presence of anti-black racism in WWE. A lot of people are like, oh, Vince is gone, the racism is gone, the bad stuff is gone. Now that Triple H is here, things are going to be better. Everybody has this obsession with looking at somebody who they have turned into basically the big bad wolf. And when that big bad wolf is gone, they figure that somebody who is white, who replaced this white person who was the big bad wolf, is going to be better. But oftentimes, they also have the wolf in them as well too. And so when it comes to Triple H, there's clear signs that even in the past that there were covert lines of anti-black racism even in his being, in the things that he chose to do. Think about the promo that he had back in 2003 when he was talking to Booker T, and when he said people like him can't be champions, but talking about Booker T, but it's more so he himself, like people who look like him, Triple H, are more so supposed to be champions. So he made that comparison to talk about how Booker T was black and how he was white. And then he even described how Booker T had nappy hair and how he was just entertainment, like a minstrel show type of thing. And he wanted Booker T to do a little dance for him. And then little Ric Flair's old little wrinkled racist ass was sitting there laughing and yucking the shit up like it was funny. And we all know that he probably in real life, although they're playing a role, we all know that he felt that, because he was the same one who was going back and telling Teddy Long backstage, you like working here, nigga? So he actually said that to him, right? And so that was back in the day racist, but there was never any clear indication on whether or not he was still racist. But you saw him in 2003 laughing right along with Triple H, when he had cut that promo. And I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, little non-wrestling old wrinkled ass is over here laughing and yucking it up. And everybody think you were the coolest shit smoking, and you ain't never really been that cool to me. All you do is say woo all the time and people just think it's cool. But outside of that, you really ain't shit. And you can't compete really with any wrestler past or present, even your past or definitely your present. And Ric Flair also has the strut as well too, and that also works for him too, on top of, I guess, his woo chant. But another thing I wanted to tell y'all about too when it comes to Triple H is, and this goes for anybody who kind of falls into the same category, is some of you all get into this thing where you try to excuse certain behaviors because of somebody's talent. So for example, a lot of people like Triple H because he's one of the old heads. He's somebody who people grew up on. You grew up on the game and the pedigree and him spitting out the damn water and all this other stuff at the, beginning of his intro and all this other stuff, right? And a lot of y'all also grew up on saying suck it all the time. But don't allow your like for somebody's talent or aesthetic to cloud the fact that they're doing some racist shit. That's basically what I'm getting at. And the same thing would go for if someone is black and they're cooning. Don't allow the fact that you like what this person does to cloud the fact that this person may be cooning. So in other words, you can enjoy the fact that this person is talented. You can enjoy the fact that they're doing something that you think is constructive with their skills or their skill set. I hate that word, but I said it anyway, that they're doing with their skills. But that doesn't mean that you can excuse the other bullshit they do because of the fact that you like that. So you can separate those two worlds. So just because I'm saying that Triple H is showing some suspected white supremacist tendencies doesn't mean that I'm taking away from the fact that many people find him to be talented. And there are things that I even like about his character or the characters that he's played, while being a wrestler. So what I'm basically telling you all is that do not bullshit your way out of this. Don't allow him to bullshit his way out of this and still call a spade a spade. But anyway, let's go back. So when it comes to Triple H, so there were obviously signs before in the past that this dude had racist tendencies. So this shouldn't really be a shock to anyone. Because ultimately, whenever somebody who is white says something such as "I see no color," this is a clear indication that they have covert racist tendencies or are full-blown a covert racist. And let's go into why I say that. The reality is that a real white person who is not trying to use white supremacy is able to recognize someone's color. But we're going to say race in this case. They're able to recognize and see someone's race. And as a result, they also see the disparities of what has happened to this person or this group of people based on their race. And as a result, they will try to create equity for that person and create a fair and just system. But when they see no color, they allow a system that is bad to continue to prevail and do bad things for them. And clearly in WWE, this is part of the whole entertainment thing. And you see the way that black wrestlers are treated. And he obviously is a part of how the black wrestlers are mishandled and mistreated. And he's not trying to do anything better. So when you say, "I see no color," especially when being asked if there's going to, be better representation, that is a clear indication that you do not care about the disparities of what has happened to black people and how they have been mistreated and how you and your people have played a part in that mistreatment, both past and present. So we got to keep going back to that. The next thing is that your ass is lying. Your ass is damn lying. You know damn well you see color. And the reason why we know you see color is because that's why you're not elevating these black wrestlers who are great. Matter of fact, just about every black wrestler who has been on the roster, who is a man, has been phenomenal and are better than the majority of the white wrestlers or non-black wrestlers that are on the roster. And you don't really elevate them. That's why you had a short reign for Kofi Kingston. That's why you are not elevating Montez Ford even today in the present. So let's really talk about that, because a lot of people like to say, "Oh, this was the Vince era. Oh, this was going on at that time. Oh, they had the belt." Y'all always like to come up with stupid excuses. What is happening? Let's go back to Montez Ford. What is happening with Montez Ford in 2024? He is still part of a tag team with Angelo Dawkins. Hell, let's be real. Low key, Angelo Dawkins is good as hell too, if we're being real. And none of these brothers are getting elevated. None of them are having more done with them besides being a mid-card act or a tag team. And that's pretty much about it. Look at Xavier and Kofi. Both of them are excellent. Both Xavier and Kofi have done great feats. They have had one of the best, if not arguably the best, tag team in WWE history, and they are still not really elevated, especially Xavier. And what's funny is Xavier is the only foundational black American who was a part of the New Day, and he has been the least elevated. So your ass definitely sees color, because you see color every time you see these phenomenal wrestlers and you choose not to elevate them, but still continue to elevate the same people over and over and over again, and then make excuses about why you have not elevated them, or just try to leave it in the dark and hope that nobody notices. So your ass sees color. That's number 2. And number 3, you don't see color, right? But you see sex. And I know you see sex because back in the day, y'all used to have bra and panties matches. Now all of a sudden it's women's revolution and all this other shit. So you see sex. You see sexual orientation, because that's why you have Shayna Baszler, who was trying to get a stink face from Rhea Ripley, and then she got one from Nia Jax instead. So you're clearly cool with portraying somebody who is LGBTQIA+. So I say all that to say that, so you see sexual orientation, you see sex, but you don't see color. Okay. So this is what I mean by there's covert racism, because to be that comfortable with being ignorant, blindly ignorant about the disparities that you and your people and other people like you have caused, both past and present, to black people, and to say you have no color shows that you are continuing a system that has done my people bad. That is basically what you're saying. And to be quite frank, y'all, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. And what I mean by that is there's no telling what is going on backstage and what we cannot see. We've already heard reports of people like Bianca Belair saying that they've experienced racism backstage and internally and all this other stuff. We've already heard stuff like that. But what about the things that, are not going reported, or the things that, black wrestlers are turning a blind eye to? Or what if a black wrestler is cooning and good and well, all they're going to do is, get their check, go home, and then defend any type of racist act that's actually going on? What about all that stuff, right? So we don't know about any of that stuff, but what this did was it set the tone for the attitude that is still going on when it comes to the black wrestlers. So basically what I'm saying to y'all is that Triple H has always been on my suspected white supremacist list, but after that interview, he is for damn sure on my suspected white supremacist list. Proof is right there. Anyway, y'all, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed what I had to say, and I will definitely have more to come, so stay tuned. Other than that, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.